When I cheat, it's emotional trauma. When you leave, it's abuse, my ex said. During couples therapy. So I asked the therapist for a receipt and walked out with her parking validation. I'm Ava, 32, female, and I swear I could feel my pulse in my teeth that day. Sitting on that stiff couch in the therapist's office, staring at the stupid glass bowl of river stones on the table like maybe one of them held the answer to how I ended up here, with him. Evan, 35, male, my ex, or at least the man I'd already mentally divorced even before the paperwork caught up. We were in couples therapy, which at that point was really just an autopsy with scented candles. He wanted to fix things. Translation, he wanted me to forget everything he did. Our therapist, Melissa, had one of those calm, buttery voices that made even trauma sound like a spa treatment. Evan, she said, can you tell Ava how you felt when she left the house last week? And that's when he said it. Dead serious, like he was delivering some profound philosophical truth. When I cheat, it's emotional trauma. When you leave, it's abuse. I laughed. I actually laughed. It wasn't planned, it just fell out of me, like my body couldn't contain the absurdity anymore. Melissa froze mid-note, her pen hovering in the air. Evan turned to me, all wide-eyed innocence, like I'd just slapped him across the face with logic. You think that's funny? He snapped. His voice went from calm to crackling fury in a second. You leaving me was psychological torture, Ava. You abandoned me when I needed you the most. I could smell the cologne he wore, the same one I found on someone else's sheets 3 months ago. My stomach twisted. I said, you cheated on me, Evan, multiple times. He shrugged. Because you were cold. You made me feel small. That's trauma. Melissa tried to interject, but I was already standing. My chair scraped against the floor loud enough to make her flinch. I reached into my purse, pulled out my card, and said, can you just charge me for my half, Melissa? Then I looked at Evan, red-faced, trembling, still pretending to be the victim, and I said, actually, no. Give me the receipt. Melissa blinked. The receipt? Yeah, I said, for closure. He started sputtering something about manipulation and narcissism, buzzwords he'd probably picked up from TikTok self-help videos, while I took the printed slip from Melissa's hand. On my way out, I grabbed the little parking validation sticker off her desk. It wasn't even my turn to have it. I stuck it on my coat and said, guess I'm not paying for your time anymore either. The door closed behind me, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt actual air in my lungs. Then my phone started buzzing. 36 missed calls in the next hour. Then texts, then voicemails. And that was just the beginning of the chaos. When I got home that day, my apartment felt like a crime scene I hadn't cleaned up yet. The air was heavy with that weird quiet that only exists after something final. I kicked off my shoes, set my bag down, and just stood there in the dark, phone buzzing like a dying insect on the counter. I didn't check it right away. I just sat on the couch, staring at the wall, trying to remember how it felt to have silence that wasn't threatening. By the time I finally opened my phone, there were 49 new messages from Evan. The first few were pathetic. We need to finish what we started. You walked out like a child. I'm still at Melissa's waiting for you to come back. Then they got darker. You don't get to humiliate me. I can't believe you'd make me look crazy in front of her. You always push me to this point. Classic Evan, twisting his own behavior into a morality play where he's both the wounded poet and the hero of his own tragedy. I didn't answer. I blocked him. Then I went to brush my teeth and tried to pretend that was the end of it. At 2:17 a.m., someone banged on my door. I froze. The pounding was frantic, uneven. I knew that rhythm. He always knocked like he was rehearsing an argument. Ava, open up! We're not done! I grabbed my phone with shaking hands, ready to call 911, but he kept going, slamming the door, yelling through it, alternating between begging and threats. You think you can just walk away from me like I'm trash? Thud. After everything I've done for you? Thud. You're the abuser, Ava. You're the one who ruins people. I couldn't move. I just stood there in the dark, clutching my phone, staring at the door as it rattled in its frame. Then, silence. For 5 full minutes. I thought maybe he'd finally left until my phone lit up again with a text. Nice plant by your window. You really should close your blinds. I went cold. I hadn't told him I moved apartments. He shouldn't have known my address. That's when it hit me. He must have followed me after therapy. I turned off all the lights, sat on the floor, and waited. Every shadow outside felt like it was breathing. When morning came, there was a single note taped to my door. One line written in his messy scrawl. "You're not the victim, Ava. I'm healing and you're in the way." I called Melissa later that day, shaking, told her what happened. She was quiet for a long time, then sighed. "I'm so sorry," she said softly. "Evan has a history of this kind of fixation. You weren't the first couple he's brought in after an affair." That sentence sat in my stomach like acid. By evening, I was at my friend Lila's place, suitcase in hand, looking like someone who'd survived a storm. Lila took one look at me and said, "What the hell did he do now?" I didn't answer. I just handed her the note. She read it, then whispered, "Okay, we're getting you cameras and a bat." That's when I knew this wasn't over. Evan didn't see what happened in that office as the end of a relationship. He saw it as the start of a war. The first time Evan showed up at my job, it was raining so hard the glass doors looked like melting plastic. I worked as an account manager at a design firm downtown. Open floor plan, too much white furniture, everyone pretending deadlines were oxygen. I saw him before he saw me. Or maybe he came there knowing exactly where my desk was. He was standing at reception, drenched, holding a cardboard box. My chest tightened instantly. Our receptionist, Taylor, was trying to be polite, but she kept glancing toward me like, help? This wet guy is giving stalker energy." When he spotted me, that fake smile mask slid over his face. "Ava," he said like we were meeting for brunch instead of a restraining order, "you forgot some things." He set the box on the counter with both hands, water dripping off the edges. I didn't move. My coworkers had started looking up, pretending not to look up. You know that awkward hush when people smell drama but don't want to be caught watching it? That. "Evan, you can't be here," I said, keeping my voice even. "I just thought you'd want your stuff back," he said. "You left your keys, your charger, my peace of mind." Taylor's eyes flicked towards security. I stepped closer, whispering, "You need to leave, now." He tilted his head, almost pitying. "You used to say that tone meant you cared. Guess I was wrong." That's when he raised his voice, enough for everyone to hear. "She's pretending I'm dangerous, but she's the one who abandoned therapy. Melissa said running away was abusive." The room froze. Someone from accounting gasped. I wanted to sink into the floor. I hissed, "Evan, go, now." He didn't. Instead, he started pulling things out of the box. My old toothbrush, a coffee mug, a worn sweater I didn't even recognize. Like he wanted to perform heartbreak. That's when security finally showed up. Two guys, polite but firm. "Sir, we're going to have to ask you to leave." Evan's eyes locked on me, and something snapped behind them. He smiled, not kindly, but like a man remembering an inside joke only he got. "Fine," he said, "but she'll regret this." And then he left, soaking wet, leaving puddles and humiliation behind him. I spent the next 2 hours in the supply closet pretending to sort folders just to breathe. Lila came over that night with takeout and a baseball bat she named Karen. She made me eat half a burrito and said, "You need to document everything. This is classic escalation. Next, he'll try to control the narrative." She was right. 3 days later, a new Instagram account followed me. Username, @truthaboutava. It had my photo, one of those old couple selfies from happier days. The bio read, "She broke me. Don't let her break you too." The posts were worse. Screenshots of texts, out of context obviously, quotes about emotional abuse, captions implying I was manipulative, cold, unstable. He'd tagged half my friends and even my coworkers. Lila reported it immediately, but I knew Evan wouldn't stop there. By the weekend, I started getting DMs from strangers calling me a narcissist, telling me I deserved to lose him. One even said, "At least he loved you enough to fight for you." That one made my hands shake, because that's exactly how Evan thought of this. A fight. A war for control disguised as love. I went to the police station that Monday, filed a report. They told me to block him, to avoid contact, to keep records. Records. Like documentation could stop someone who already thought reality was negotiable. That night, Lila and I were sitting on her couch when her phone buzzed. She looked at it, then at me. "You're not going to like this." It was a post from Evan's main account. A photo of my car, parked right outside Lila's building. Caption: "Some people hide. Some of us just wait." My heart dropped so fast I almost didn't feel it hit. I didn't sleep for 3 nights after that post. Every creak in Lila's apartment sounded like footsteps on the fire escape. Every car door slamming outside made my chest seize up. By the 4th night, I wasn't scared anymore. I was furious. That was the shift. The fear burned itself out and left something sharper behind. Rage has a way of making you functional again. I went to the precinct the next morning with a printout of his posts, screenshots of the messages, and the note he'd left on my door. The officer behind the desk, a tired guy with bloodshot eyes, flipped through everything like he'd seen it 100 times before. He said, "You should file for a restraining order and maybe stay somewhere else for a while." "I've been staying somewhere else," I said. "He found me anyway." That's when he looked up. Really looked at me. "Then document everything. If he contacts you again, don't engage. Call us." I wanted to scream. "Don't engage." That's what everyone said, like ignoring him would make him evaporate. That night, I went back to my apartment for the first time since the therapy session. I told Lila I'd only grab some things and leave. She offered to come, but I told her no. I didn't want anyone else in the blast zone. It was around 9 p.m. The hallway lights flickered like a bad horror movie, and my stomach was in my throat the entire walk up the stairs. The door looked untouched. I took a breath, unlocked it, and stepped inside. It was dark, and it smelled wrong, like cologne and sweat and something metallic. My blood went cold. I flipped the light. The walls were covered in photos. Photos of me, some from my social media, others I'd never seen before. Me leaving work, grocery shopping, sitting in traffic. Every single one taped up in a messy collage on my living room wall. Right in the center, one photo circled in red marker. It was from that therapy session, the day I walked out. I could see myself mid-step, holding the parking validation sticker. Below it, in jagged handwriting, "You didn't heal me. You hollowed me out." I don't even remember calling the police. I just remember them arriving, their radios buzzing. One of them saying, "Ma'am, step outside." They found a key under the doormat, not mine. They found his name on the leasing office visitor log 2 days earlier. He'd been inside before. They logged everything, took statements, promised to follow up. But I could tell in their faces they didn't think he'd come back. They always think the crazy ones burn out. But I knew Evan. He didn't burn out. He escalated. Lila showed up that night with a duffel bag and this look on her face I'd never seen before. Half rage, half heartbreak. She said, "You can't keep waiting for him to stop. You have to end it." "End it how?" I whispered. And then she told me about the open house. Evan had started working part-time at a real estate firm after therapy ended. One of those rebranding my life gigs. He'd posted about it online, bragging about his fresh start. There was an open house that weekend. Public, traceable, full of people. She said, "You want to take your power back? You show up there. Let the world see who he really is." It was reckless. It was dangerous. But it felt like the first real breath I'd taken in weeks. I went home with her that night, slept for the first time in days, and when I woke up, I had a plan. I wasn't going to hide anymore. Update. Posted to Reddit 2 days later. Okay, so I didn't expect the first post to blow up the way it did. I've spent the last 24 hours reading your comments, crying, shaking, and occasionally laughing at how many of you called Evan walking birth control. Fair. To everyone who said get out or get revenge, both are kind of happening at once. I went to the open house today. Yeah, his open house. I wore my work blazer and kept my phone recording the whole time. And he saw me. He froze like he'd seen a ghost, then smiled. That same twisted, calm smile. "Ava," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "here to support me?" I smiled right back. "No, just here to let people know what they're buying." I pulled out one of the printed police reports and set it right on the counter next to the brochures. The crowd went silent. Evan's coworker tried to grab it, but people had already started whispering. He lunged for me, actually lunged. Security stopped him before he got 2 steps, and now he's in holding for trespassing and harassment. When I left, I took one last thing from the counter, his business card, folded in half, and tucked it in my wallet. Not as a keepsake, as evidence, because this isn't over yet. Update 1. Posted 5 days after the open house. Hey Reddit, it's Ava again. Didn't think I'd be back this soon, but, well, chaos doesn't wait for convenient timing. First off, holy hell, I didn't expect my post to blow up the way it did. I've spent the last few days scrolling through thousands of comments and DMs from total strangers telling me I'm not crazy, I'm not dramatic, and that walking out of that therapy room with parking validation was queen behavior. Whoever commented, "You took the receipt for your closure and his last shred of control. You, my friend, deserve your own therapist-approved merch line." Some of y'all also said, "Get legal help, get smart. Don't stoop to his level." You're right. But here's the thing. Sometimes getting smart is the revenge. So here's what's happened since the open house incident. Evan was charged with misdemeanor harassment and trespassing. He spent exactly one night in county before his sister bailed him out. Yeah, apparently he's got a sister, Nicole, 38, female, who's the only semi-normal person in that gene pool. She actually called me to apologize for him, which, honestly, just made me cry. After he got out, his business took a break. That real estate firm? They saw the police report I left behind and the viral TikTok someone posted from the open house. Yep, someone caught the moment he lunged at me and yelled, "You're ruining my life!" Right before security grabbed him. It's been viewed over 300,000 times now. The comments? Brutal and kind of poetic. Imagine selling homes when you can't even keep one. Bro's open house turned into a closed case. When therapy doesn't take. I shouldn't enjoy it, but God, it's satisfying watching people see what I lived through. After that video blew up, Evan started posting these long, unhinged captions about forgiveness and the weaponization of trauma. One had a photo of an empty chair with the caption, "Even ghosts can gaslight you." Another was just a close-up of his face, red-eyed, with the caption, "Healing is war." He's losing it publicly, and everyone's watching. Melissa, our old therapist, even reached out. She said she's been contacted by 3 other ex-partners of his. 3, all with the same story. Manipulation, obsession, control. One woman had to move states. Another said he keyed her car when she tried to leave. And here's the kicker. Apparently, he's still on probation from one of those incidents, which means this open house stunt might not just be bad optics. It might violate his probation outright. So yeah, his empire of self-pity is crumbling fast. But before anyone gets too comfy thinking I'm safe, I'm not stupid. He's unpredictable, and men like that don't take humiliation quietly. That's why I've been staying somewhere new. I won't say where. Just know it's got cameras, deadbolts, and neighbors who don't mind calling the cops if they even smell trouble. Still, I'm not done. Because there's something poetic about turning the thing he weaponized, the narrative, against him. He made his social media the stage. I'm about to make it the trial. Let's just say I've been collecting everything. The DMs, the fake accounts, the deleted posts he thought no one would notice. I've been working with someone who knows how to dig deep, and soon, all of it's going somewhere he can't control. He told me once, "You'll regret making me the villain." Funny thing is, he's doing that all by himself. When I said I was done being scared, I didn't mean I stopped being careful, I just stopped being quiet. After the open house, Evan went dark for about a week. No posts, no texts, no sightings. For the first time in months, I woke up without checking the blinds. I started going back to work trying to piece together something like normal life again. But silence with someone like him isn't peace, it's strategy. That's when I got the email. It wasn't from Evan, it was from Nicole, his sister. Subject line, "You should see this." Attached were screenshots of messages Evan had sent to her the night after the open house. Long rants about how the world was conspiring against him, how Ava weaponized victimhood, and how, if she wants to play in public, then public she'll get. He was planning something, and she was scared. Nicole and I met for coffee at a tiny place off 6th Street. She looked exhausted, eyes red from crying. "He's not sleeping," she said. "He's convinced you're behind the video. He keeps saying he needs to set the record straight." "Set it straight how?" I asked. She hesitated. "He said he's going to release your therapy recordings." My stomach dropped. Melissa had mentioned that he once asked to record sessions for accountability. She'd allowed one session, under both our consent, 2 weeks before everything fell apart. And now, apparently, he still had it. The panic came fast, hot, choking. My voice shook when I said, "If he posts that, he's breaking the law." Nicole nodded. "He doesn't care, but if you want, I can send you his drafts. He's been writing captions on his computer. He thinks I don't see them when he leaves the room." She did more than that. She gave me access. That night, sitting at Lila's kitchen table, I opened the folder she'd sent me, full of drafts, notes, screenshots, and half-finished posts. It was like reading the diary of a man building his own funeral pyre. Every draft was worse than the last. He called himself a martyr, an empath, a misunderstood genius. Each one twisted the truth a little more until I barely recognized myself in his words. And that's when I realized this was my chance. He was desperate for an audience. I just had to give him one. Lila helped me set up a private group chat with a handful of mutual friends and a few of his coworkers, the ones he hadn't alienated yet. We leaked just enough of his drafts to look like someone close to him was doing it. A few lines here, a few screenshots there. The whispers started fast. Is Evan losing it? Did you see what he wrote about his ex? Why would he call her his creation? 2 days later, he posted a cryptic story. Betrayal cuts deepest when it comes from blood. Nicole texted me after. He thinks I leaked it. He's spiraling. I told her to hold on, to stay out of sight for a bit. Then I went to work on the final piece. Remember how he'd recorded that one therapy session? Turns out there was another copy. Melissa keeps all her records encrypted for liability. When I told her what was happening, she didn't hesitate. "I can't release it publicly," she said, "but if law enforcement requests it, I can confirm it's been tampered with." "Tampered with?" She nodded. "The copy he has. He cut parts, spliced sentences, made it sound like you were the aggressor." It hit me like a slap. He'd been planning this long before therapy ended. But now, I could turn it around. I contacted one of those mid-tier true crime podcasters who DM'd me after my post went viral. She wanted to cover my story, and normally I would have said no, but this time I gave her everything. The screenshots, the police reports, the drafts, even Melissa's statement. I told her, if he wants to control the story, let's give him a bigger one to drown in. The episode dropped 3 days later. Within hours, it blew up. The title? The therapist said he was the victim. Then the receipts arrived. People dissected every line. They found the open house video, they found his posts, they even found his fake account that had followed me months ago. The internet did what the courts couldn't. It turned him transparent. By the next morning, the real estate firm deleted his profile. His friends unfollowed him. His new clients canceled appointments. And his healing brand? Gone. But the part that stuck with me wasn't the comments or the chaos. It was the voicemail he left me that night. His voice was hoarse, cracking like static. "You think you won, Ava. You think ruining me fixes you. But you're just showing the world what I already knew. You can't live without me watching." I didn't delete it. I saved it. Because for the first time in years, he was right about one thing. I wanted him to watch. Not me breaking, not me crying, me winning. I thought it would feel cleaner. The ending, I mean. The podcast had gone nuclear, millions of streams in a week. My name wasn't mentioned directly, but everyone knew. The woman in the story with the parking validation, the box of photos, the open house video, it all connected. Reddit detectives pieced it together like a true crime puzzle. The receipt girl was trending for 3 days. At first, it was exhilarating, watching him lose everything. His followers dropped by the thousands. His healing blog got flooded with comments calling him a fraud, a predator, a narcissist. Screenshots of his old posts became memes. Someone even made a TikTok edit of the open house video with the caption, "Therapy doesn't fix demons who think they're prophets." But victory has an echo, and it's quieter than you expect. After the adrenaline burned off, I felt hollow, like I'd spent all my energy proving what he was, and now I didn't know what that made me. Lila tried to shake me out of it. "You did it," she said. "You burned the monster down." "Yeah," I said, "but I'm still standing in the smoke." Because Evan wasn't just gone. He'd left pieces of himself everywhere. His voice still lived in my phone's voicemail box, in my nightmares, in the way I triple-checked every locked door before bed. And then, the silence broke again. It was 2:41 a.m. when my phone buzzed with an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something made me look. It was a video message, no caption. I hit play, and my blood turned to ice. It was footage from outside my old apartment, the one I'd moved out of months ago. The camera was shaky, like handheld phone footage, filmed from across the street. My old window glowed faintly. Then a voice, low and broken, whispered, "You can't erase me." The timestamp was from 2 nights ago. Lila found me sitting on the kitchen floor the next morning staring at the phone. She took one look at the video, grabbed her keys, and said, "We're going to the police, now." The officer who'd handled my previous report recognized me immediately. He sighed when I showed him the clip. "He's on probation," he said. "This is a clear violation. We'll handle it." I wanted to believe him. I really did. But handle it doesn't mean stop it. It means paperwork, calls, waiting. 3 days passed. No word, no update. Then Nicole texted me again. "He's gone off the grid, no phone, no job. I think he's running." And that's when I realized this wasn't over. Not yet. Because people like Evan don't just disappear, they reinvent. That same night, I got an anonymous email from an address I didn't recognize. truthrestored@outlook.com. It contained one sentence. "Tell them what you did to me, or I will." No attachments, no threats, just that. I called Lila, voice shaking. "He's trying to flip it again." She was silent for a moment, then said, "Then flip it first." That's when the idea started. Small, desperate, but brilliant. If Evan wanted a story, I'd give him one. The whole story. On my terms. No podcasts, no edits, no therapists interpreting it. Just me, my words, and the truth. Posted exactly where he first tried to destroy me. Reddit. That's where this story began, and that's where it would end. Update 2, posted 2 weeks later. "Hey, it's me again, Ava. I guess this is the real ending. Not the movie kind with fireworks, but the quiet kind where you finally sleep through the night. After my last post, a lot of you said the same thing. He's going to try one last move. You were right. The email I mentioned, 'Tell them what you did to me or I will,' turned out to be Evan's final attempt at control. Only this time, I didn't hide it. I forwarded it straight to my detective, attached every message, every photo, every post, and hit send. Within a day, they traced it back to the public library Wi-Fi near his sister's apartment. Nicole confirmed he'd been staying there, sleeping in his car between job interviews that didn't exist. The next morning, the police picked him up for violating probation and cyber harassment. He's facing a hearing next month. I won't be there. I already gave my statement. I don't need to hear him talk anymore. But here's the part that made me stop shaking for good, the recording. Remember the therapy audio he threatened to release? He uploaded it to a burner account the same night he was arrested. Only he forgot that Melissa had kept the original. Within an hour, she filed a copyright claim and submitted both versions, his edited one and the authentic session, to the court. The difference was obvious. My supposed confession was a Frankenstein splice of sentences that never belonged together. The judge saw it. The internet saw it. And suddenly, his narrative imploded. The same people who once reposted his healing quotes started commenting things like, "Apology to Ava when?" And "Turns out the receipt girl really did have receipts." I thought revenge would feel like fire. It actually feels like exhale. Lila and I moved into a new apartment last week. Different city, different skyline. She jokes that we should frame the parking validation sticker that started it all. It's taped to our fridge right now, curling at the edges. My favorite reminder that sometimes walking away is the loudest thing you can do. Melissa sent me a short email after the verdict came through. Just one line. "Therapy's about finding your voice again, you did." I cried for a long time after reading that. Not sad tears, just release. So, to everyone who read, commented, and believed me before the world did, thank you. You made me feel real when someone tried to turn me into a story. Evan's story is over. Mine isn't. I'm back in school part-time, studying psychology. Figured if I could survive someone like him, maybe I can help other people do the same. And yeah, I kept the receipt. Always will. The strangest thing about peace is how loud it feels at first. I'd gotten so used to living in reaction mode, scanning every sound, every shadow, every phone notification like it was a warning. So when all of it finally stopped, when the noise went quiet, my body didn't know what to do. The first week after Evan's hearing, I kept waking up at 3 a.m. expecting my phone to buzz. Even silence had an edge to it, like a bruise that still hurt when you pressed it. Lila would find me sitting on the balcony with a blanket, coffee in hand, just staring at the skyline. "You don't have to keep looking for him," she said once. I told her I wasn't looking for him. I was checking to make sure he wasn't looking for me. Old habits die hard. He was sentenced to 6 months in county jail for harassment and probation violations. Nothing that screams justice, but enough to finally stop the bleeding. Nicole sent me a letter 2 days after the sentencing, handwritten, full of apologies that probably weren't hers to give. She said she'd found Evan's notebooks when cleaning out his car. "It's pages of circular logic," she wrote, like he's arguing with ghosts. She asked if I wanted them. I didn't. Some stories don't need a postscript, so I did something small but important. I changed my number, deleted the voicemails, unfollowed every thread about the podcast, stopped being the girl who needed to prove the story was true, because I already won. But here's the part no one talks about. What happens after you win? People think closure is this big cinematic moment. Gavel drop, victory speech, swelling music. It's not. It's brushing your teeth at 11:47 p.m. and realizing you went an entire day without saying his name in your head. It's sitting in traffic and hearing a song that used to belong to both of you and not flinching. It's laughing with someone new and catching yourself halfway through thinking, "This feels easy." Melissa called last week, checking in before her vacation. "You sound lighter," she said. "I'm trying," I told her. She laughed softly. Trying is healing. She's right. Healing isn't linear. It's messy. I still have nights when the anger creeps back, whispering about everything he took from me. But then I remember, he didn't take anything I can't rebuild. I'm in my second semester now, studying part-time. Psychology. I sit in the back of class, taking notes about trauma responses and boundary setting, and sometimes I wonder if the girl I was a year ago would even recognize me. She'd probably be proud, and maybe a little scared of me, in the best way. Lila still jokes that I should get the parking validation framed. I told her no, I don't need a trophy for surviving him. But I did keep one thing from that day. The therapist's receipt, folded and yellowing. It sits in my wallet tucked behind my driver's license. A reminder that I paid my share and then some. I used to think the end of a story meant the world stopped spinning for a second, like you'd get some cinematic closure, cue the soft piano and fade to black. Turns out, endings just slip into regular life when you're not looking. It's been 6 months since Evan's sentencing. He's out now, or at least he's supposed to be. I don't know where he went afterward, and for the first time in forever, I don't care. There was no dramatic apology, no final confrontation, just absence. A silence that doesn't feel like fear anymore, just distance. I'm living in a new apartment across town. It's small but bright, the kind of place where the light spills across the floor in the morning and everything smells faintly like coffee and new beginnings. Lila still visits every weekend, bringing pastries and gossip. She teases me about how boring my life's gotten. "No stalkers, no drama, no viral hashtags. You're slipping," she says with a grin. I tell her boring is the goal. I'll take quiet over chaos any sneeze, any day. Sometimes, though, I still think about that day in therapy. The smell of Evan's cologne, Melissa's pen pausing mid-air, that moment where everything inside me finally snapped and I stood up. That was the moment I stopped being small. People online turned it into a meme, the receipt girl thing. I've seen the edits, the TikToks, even a few podcasts trying to analyze me like a character instead of a person. I used to hate it, but now I just smile. Let them talk. Let them turn it into whatever lesson they need. I know what it really was. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't even justice. It was reclamation, the first time I said no and meant it enough to walk away. The other day, I went for a run by the river. It's something I've been doing since therapy. Movement helps quiet my head. Somewhere along the path, a man passed by wearing the same cologne Evan used to wear. For a split second, my heart stopped. The old panic rose up like muscle memory. Then it faded. I turned up my music, kept running, and realized I wasn't scared anymore. That's what healing looks like. Not perfection, just persistence. That night, I sat on my balcony with my notebook and a glass of wine, writing out all the things I've learned the hard way. Closure isn't owed. You build it yourself. Not every apology is worth waiting for. Some people love you only when they're winning. And sometimes walking away is the bravest sentence you'll ever say. I tucked that page inside my journal, right next to the therapist's old receipt. It's still there, creased and soft from being handled too many times. The ink's faded, but you can still make out the date. The day I finally decided my pain didn't have to make sense to anyone but me. And that's the thing about survival. It's not loud. It's not cinematic. It's just steady. You wake up, you breathe, you live. And one day, you realize you haven't looked over your shoulder in months. You just exist, free.